Commander Rian stood near the wide window of the human frontier base, watching the twin suns sink behind the red mountains. He'd returned only 3 days ago from a long and dangerous mission that no one expected to end peacefully. Yet somehow he had managed to calm 2 rival species, settle their dispute, and stop a war before it even started. The Higher Council praised him for his courage, and the alien leaders promised him a reward. That promise, however, remained a mystery. All anyone told him was, "You will receive a peaceful companion as a token of respect." Even the message sounded confused, as if the aliens themselves were unsure what humans liked. Rian didn't think much about it. He imagined a small, harmless creature, perhaps something fluffy or something that glowed gently in the dark. Many species kept calm creatures as pets, and he assumed the aliens were offering something similar out of pure goodwill. Still, something about the whole arrangement felt strange. The aliens who made the promise were from the Vishari Concord, a union of many species who valued ceremony more than clarity. Their traditions were old, sometimes confusing, and often dramatic. Rian respected their culture, but their way of thinking was very different from humans. Many times, they misunderstood words or used ancient customs that didn't translate well. He sighed and turned away from the window. "A pet," he whispered to himself. "I don't even have time to care for a plant. Now, I'm getting a pet." Even so, he prepared a small, cozy space inside his room, just in case the creature needed warmth, shade, or a place to hide. He set down a soft blanket next to the wall and placed a small water dish nearby. It made him feel a little ridiculous, but he wanted to be respectful. After all, a gift was a gift. The morning of the delivery arrived sooner than expected. Rian was drinking a cup of hot tea when he received a message on his wrist device. "Your companion gift from the Vishari will be arriving in 30 minutes. Please be present." No details. No explanation. No description. Just instructions. He shrugged, finished his tea, and walked toward the landing bay. As he approached, he noticed something unusual. Several soldiers from the alien transport team were already waiting, shifting nervously and whispering among themselves. Their eyes avoided his, as if they were unsure whether to speak to him at all. Rian greeted them politely. "Good morning. I've been told you're delivering something for me?" The tallest alien, a thin, blue-skinned male with bright silver markings, nodded quickly, but did not smile. "Yes, Commander." "The gift is ready." Rian raised an eyebrow. "You all look uneasy. Is something wrong with the gift?" The aliens exchanged quick glances. One of them cleared her throat and said, "It is." "Delicate. Delicate," Rian repeated. "It's a small animal, isn't it?" Again, the aliens refused to meet his eyes. "We were instructed not to open the crate," the leader said. "It must be handled with patience and calm." Rian frowned. This was getting strange. Why would a harmless pet make trained transport soldiers nervous? Before he could ask more questions, the heavy doors of the landing bay slid open and a hover cart rolled in, carrying a sealed transport crate almost as tall as a human. It was dark gray, reinforced with thick metallic bands, and equipped with a quiet cooling system that hummed steadily. The crate looked too large for any small creature. Too secure, too serious. What kind of pet is this? Rian muttered under his breath. He approached the crate slowly. It was not shaking violently, but he could see slight movement inside small tremors, soft taps against the inner walls. Not violent, but restless. Nervous. The aliens stepped back as if they wanted to be far away before it was opened. Rian noticed. "You're backing away," he said calmly. "Why?" The leader swallowed hard. "The gift is frightened. We believe it will respond better to you. Once we deliver it, our responsibility ends." The words felt wrong. Frightened? Not dangerous? He looked at the crate again. Something about this situation no longer felt like a simple reward. "Commander," the leader added quietly, "please remember that this was a decision of the High Council. We merely follow orders." Before Rian could ask another question, the transport team hurried out of the landing bay. They almost ran. Not because they were scared for their lives, Rian could tell that much, but because they were scared of making a mistake. Scared of breaking a tradition? Scared of insulting someone they didn't understand? He stood alone with the large crate. The crate vibrated softly again, fast, as if whatever was inside moved back and forth in a very small space. Rian knelt down, placing one hand on the smooth surface. The temperature was colder than he expected, almost like someone had been living inside a refrigerator. He lowered his voice. "It's okay," he said gently. "I don't know what you are, but I'm not here to hurt you." There was no response, just silence. Then, a faint sound, like a small gasp or a shaky breath from inside. Rian felt his heart tighten. Something was definitely wrong here. This wasn't a pet. This wasn't a creature someone would casually give away. The size of the crate, the temperature, the nervous aliens, nothing made sense. He looked at the lock mechanism. It wasn't complicated. It required a palm scan and a command code. He hesitated. What if the creature inside had been mistreated? What if it was terrified of everything because of the journey? If that was the case, it needed calmness and care, not fear. He placed his hand over the panel. The scanner flashed green dot access granted. The metallic bands released. The crate doors slowly slid open with a quiet hiss of cold air escaping into the room. Rian waited patiently, expecting to see an animal curled up inside. But what he saw made him freeze. Inside. The crate was not a small creature, not even close. It was a young woman with pale, almost glowing skin and long silver hair that fell over her shoulders like a river of light. Her eyes were wide with terror, shining like polished crystals in the dim lights. She sat crouched in the corner, hugging her knees and shaking violently, her lips parted slightly. And Rian noticed something else small. Delicate fangs she was trying desperately to hide behind her trembling hands. She was breathing fast, her whole body tense, as if she expected him to strike her the moment he approached. She whispered something in a thin, frightened voice he could barely hear. "Please, don't hurt me." Rian felt a deep shock travel through him. This was no pet. This was a person. A terrified alien woman. Someone who had clearly not chosen to be here. He stood completely still so she wouldn't feel threatened. His voice softened instinctively. "I'm not going to hurt you," he said gently. "I didn't know they were sending someone like you." The woman looked up at him with frightened eyes. She swallowed hard before speaking. "They said, humans keep peaceful companions. They told me I wouldn't be harmed. Please, is it true?" Rian felt anger toward the alien council rise inside him, but he didn't show it. Right now, she needed calmness, not anger. "Yes," he said softly. "You're safe here. I don't know why they put you in that crate, but I promise I won't let anything bad happen to you." The woman stared at him, still trembling, still unsure, and in that moment, Rian knew one thing for certain. Whatever this gift was supposed to be, whatever misunderstanding the aliens had created, his life was about to change in a way he never expected. Rian stood perfectly still, giving the frightened alien woman time to breathe. She remained in the corner of the crate, arms wrapped tightly around her legs, as if she expected danger any moment. Her silver hair covered part of her face, but he could still see how pale she was and how her eyes watched him with fear mixed with confusion. He slowly took one step back, showing her he wanted to give space, not pressure. "You don't have to be scared," he said softly. "I didn't know they were sending a person. If I had known, I would have stopped it." The woman blinked, her breath shaky. "You didn't choose this?" "No," he replied gently. "I expected a small creature, not you. Never someone like you." Her eyes widened a little, not fully trusting him yet, but the tension in her shoulders softened. She looked around the landing bay, taking in the bright human lights, the tall metal panels, and the open space. Everything was unfamiliar to her, and the unknown terrified her more than anything else. Rian realized she was shivering. Not from cold, but from the long journey inside the confined crate. He knew she must have felt alone and powerless. He turned slightly and reached for the control pad near the wall. "I'm going to dim the lights," he said calmly before touching the panel. "The brightness might be hurting your eyes." Her head moved a little, almost as if she wanted to thank him, but was still too scared to speak. The lights softened to a warm, gentle glow, and the landing bay no longer looked harsh. She blinked slowly, her eyes adjusting. "Better?" Rian asked. She nodded just. A tiny nod, but it was the first sign that she might trust him even a little. Rian knelt on the ground a few feet away from her, keeping a respectful distance. "My name is Rian," he said. "I am a human commander, but I won't order you or force you to do anything. You're free to speak or stay silent. Whatever you're comfortable with." The woman hesitated before whispering Leora. Her voice carried a soft echo, as if her words held a strange melody. "My name is Leora." Rian repeated it with care. "Leora, it's a beautiful name." She lowered her eyes, unsure how to react. Compliments were probably not something she received often, especially in her situation. He continued gently. "Can you tell me what happened? Why they sent you here?" Leora hugged her knees closer. "My people made a promise to your leaders. They said they would send a peaceful companion to show respect." She swallowed hard. "But my people misunderstood what companion means to humans." Rian realized the misunderstanding ran much deeper than he thought. They thought humans keep people as pets. He asked softly. Leora nodded with embarrassment and fear. "Our old books tell stories of humans caring for small creatures, feeding them, protecting them. My elders thought humans preferred quiet, gentle beings as companions. They believed sending one of us was an honor." Rian felt his chest tighten. The council had made a decision based on ancient stories, without understanding the present. "You didn't choose to come," he said. Leora shook her head quickly. "No, I begged them not to send me. But they said it was for peace. They said you would be kind." Rian softened his voice even further. "And I will be. No one here will hurt you." Her eyes lifted slowly to meet his. For a moment she simply stared, as if trying to decide whether his words were real or just something he was trained to say. He noticed the delicate fangs. She tried to hide again. She saw him look and quickly covered her mouth with her hand. "I know you saw them," she whispered. "I understand if they frighten you." "They don't," Rian said honestly. "Everyone has differences. Some humans have sharper teeth too. There's nothing wrong with it." She stared at him in surprise. Her whole life people reacted with fear or caution when they noticed her fangs. But this human warrior simply looked at her the same way he did before, calm, steady, without judgment. Leora took a slow breath. "My species is called the Elavari. Some call us vampire people, even though we do not drink anything harmful. We only absorb energy when we are weak. It doesn't hurt anyone." Rian nodded with understanding. "So you're not dangerous." Leora lowered her head. "Not unless someone harms me first." "But I don't want to harm anyone." Rian stood up slowly, giving her time to adjust. "Would you like to come out of the crate?" he asked gently. "You don't have to. But you might feel better stretching your legs." She hesitated. Her legs trembled from sitting in a cramped space for too long. She placed one hand carefully on the side of the crate and stepped forward. Her legs wobbled, and she almost lost balance. But Rian quickly moved one step closer, still not touching her, just offering support with his presence. "You're safe," he said. Leora inhaled deeply, steadying herself. The cold air from the crate faded, replaced by the warm air of the landing bay. For the first time, she felt a small sense of relief. Her feet touched the floor fully. She stood there nervously, looking around with wide eyes. "Everything here is so bright," she whispered. "It takes some getting used to," Rian replied. "If you want, I can lower the brightness in my quarters." "You can rest there?" She bit her lip gently. "Your home?" "Yes," he said. "It's quieter, and you'll feel safer there." She gave a tiny nod, though she still looked unsure. "I will follow you, but please walk slowly." Rian smiled softly. Of course. He led her out of the landing bay, walking at a calm, steady pace. Leora stayed behind him, watching every corner, every door, every sound. She had never seen human technology before. Even the soft hum of the lights seemed new to her. After a few steps, she spoke quietly. "I'm sorry I am so frightened. My people taught me that humans are loud and strong, and sometimes unpredictable. Rian chuckled lightly. Humans can be loud and strong, but unpredictable isn't always bad. Sometimes it means we are braver than expected. Leora looked at him. Puzzled by his gentle smile, they reached his quarters, a clean, simple room with warm lighting, a comfortable chair, and the corner he had prepared earlier for the pet. When Leora saw the soft blanket and water dish, her eyes softened unexpectedly. You prepared this? She whispered. I thought the gift would be an animal, Rian admitted. I didn't know they meant you. Leora touched the blanket gently. It's soft. Thank you. Rian noticed her hands were trembling, not with fear now, but exhaustion. You should sit, he said. Rest for a moment. She lowered herself onto the blanket and tugged it around her legs. The warmth seemed to calm her instantly. For the first time since she arrived, her breathing slowed. Rian sat a respectful distance away. Leora, he said, I want you to understand something. You are not a pet, not a gift, not something to be owned. You are a person, and you have rights. I'll contact the council and explain the misunderstanding. Her eyes widened with sudden fear. No, please don't send me back yet. Rian tilted his head. Why? She swallowed hard. If I return so soon, my people might think the humans rejected their offering. They will blame me. I don't want to be the cause of any conflict. Rian understood. She wasn't only scared for herself, but for her people and the fragile peace between worlds. All right, he said softly. Then you stay here until we figure things out together. Leora stared at him with disbelief, as if she hadn't expected kindness from someone so strong and unfamiliar. You would do that for me? She whispered. Yes, Rian said simply, because no one deserves to be afraid. Leora lowered her gaze, touched by his words. Then thank you, Rian, truly. Ow. For the first time since she arrived. A small bit of calmness settled over Leora. She wasn't completely safe yet. Not in her mind, but she was no longer alone, in Rian. Watching her settle into the warm corner of his room, already sensed that this unexpected gift would change not only his life, but the peace between their worlds in ways neither of them could yet understand. Leora woke up slowly, blinking as the soft human light filtered into her eyes. For a moment, she forgot where she was. The warmth of the blanket around her legs felt strange, but comforting. Then she remembered the crate, the long journey, and the human who promised she was safe. She looked around quietly. Rian's quarters were simple, but peaceful. A shelf of books lined one wall. A small table held a steaming cup of something warm. Rian himself sat nearby, reading a report on a screen. When he noticed she was awake, he lowered the device with a gentle expression. Good morning, Leora, he said softly. Did you sleep well? She blinked again, surprised that he had waited quietly without waking her. Yes, she whispered. I think I slept better than I expected. It's good, Rian replied. You needed rest. Leora sat up slowly. Her legs still felt a little weak, but she felt better than the night before. The fear inside her had not fully disappeared, but it no longer controlled her every breath. Rian stood up. I made you something warm to drink, he said. It's mild and calming. If you don't like it, you don't have to drink it. He approached gently and placed the cup on the table near her, then stepped back again so she wouldn't feel trapped. Leora watched his movements carefully. Not once did he reach toward her without warning. Not once did he make sudden motions that would alarm her. Every gesture he made was soft, patient, and controlled. With a hesitant hand, she picked up the cup and sniffed it. The smell was sweet and mild. She took a tiny sip. Warmth spread through her chest, easing the tightness she had carried since her journey. It's nice, she murmured. Rian smiled a little. I'm glad. She took another small sip. As she drank, she realized something important. Tian was not afraid of her. Most people reacted nervously around Elavari like her. They feared the fangs, the glowing eyes, or the energy abilities her people possessed. But Rian treated her the same way he would treat anyone else. It was strange. Strange in a good way, Rian, she whispered. Why are you being so kind to me? You don't even know me. He shrugged lightly. I don't need to know everything about you to treat you with respect. You're here because of a mistake. That's not your fault. She studied his face, searching for hidden intentions. She had met many people in her life, diplomats, elders, travelers, but Rian was different. His eyes held calm strength, but not coldness. His voice held control, but not harshness. She didn't know humans could be like this. Rian sat on the edge of his bed, keeping distance. Leora, I want to understand you and your people. Would you be comfortable talking? Only if you want to. Leora hesitated. She wrapped the blanket around herself more tightly. What do you wish to know? Anything you're comfortable sharing, Rian said. What life is like for your kind. What you need to feel safe. What the council was thinking when they sent you. Leora looked down at her hands. My people. They fear conflict. They think offering someone gentle as a companion is a way to stop wars. In old times, our presence was believed to calm strong leaders. Rian frowned. You calm people? Not in a controlling way, Leora said quickly. We don't control minds. We only absorb stress. Many leaders used to keep Elavari near them during negotiations. That sounds like hard work, Rian said softly. It was Leora admitted. My elders thought sending me to you would create peace. They did not think about how humans view such things. Rian sighed. They should have asked first. Leora nodded. But they believed it would insult your people to reject their offering. Our customs are old and difficult to change. Rian leaned back, thinking deeply. Well, we'll change them together. No custom should ignore someone's choice. Leora felt a tiny spark of hope. Thank you, he smiled gently. You're welcome. Suddenly, a small vibrating sound came from Rian's wrist device. He glanced at it with a sigh. I have training in an hour, he said. I didn't want to leave you alone too soon, but I also don't want to force you to join me. She tilted her head. Training. It's like practice, he explained. Humans stay strong by practicing with safe equipment. No danger, just exercise. Leora looked toward the door, unsure. If I stay here alone, will anyone enter? Not unless I allow it, Rian said firmly. You're safe here. No one will bother you. Leora considered it. The room felt safe, but she didn't know the rest of the base. Would like to go with you, but please walk slowly. Rian nodded. Of course. They left the room together, walking through the quiet hallway. Leora followed closely behind, her eyes moving across every corner, every light, every human who passed by. The humans stared a little, but not with fear, more with curiosity. Leora lowered her gaze, unsure how to react. One soldier whispered, Commander, is she the gift the aliens sent? Rian shot him a calm look. She is my guest. Treat her with respect. The soldier nodded quickly, now careful with his posture. Leora glanced up at Rian with surprise. Guest, she repeated softly. You called me that. That's what you are, Rian replied simply. When they reached the training hall, Leora paused near the entrance. The space was large, with padded floors and soft glowing panels. Humans practiced in pairs, moving gracefully, sometimes slowly and sometimes quickly. Leora tensed at first when she saw two people grappling playfully. Rian placed a calming hand in the air, not touching her, just letting her know everything was safe. This is normal, he said gently. No one is here to harm anyone. Leora nodded slowly, watching the peaceful environment. The humans laughed and corrected each other's movements. The sound was friendly, not threatening. Rian walked to the side of the hall and spoke softly. You can sit here. I'll stay where you can see me. Leora sat carefully on a cushion. She kept her eyes on Rian while he trained, moving in smooth, strong motions. He was skilled, precise, and even. While practicing strength, the other humans worked around him with comfort and respect. As she watched him, she wondered how someone so strong could also be so gentle. When he finished, he approached her with a soft smile. You okay? She nodded. I didn't expect humans to practice like this. It's peaceful. Like a dance. Rian laughed lightly. I suppose it does look like that. They walked back to his quarters. This time, Leora felt less tense. The base no longer felt filled with unknown danger. It felt like a place she could try to understand. When they returned, Rian brought her a small plate of food. Leora took it with grateful hands. "Thank you, Leora," Rian said gently. "There is something else I want you to know." She looked up at him with curious eyes. "You do not owe me anything?" "Not gratitude. Not servitude. Not obedience. You are not here to serve me. You are here because someone misunderstood our customs. You are free." Leora felt a soft warmth in her chest, an emotion she had almost forgotten. "No one has ever said that to me," she whispered. Rian sat across from her. "Well, someone should have," she smiled, an uncertain small smile, but real. "Then I will learn about humans. And maybe humans can learn about Elavari too." Rian nodded. "I would like that." For the first time since her arrival, Leora felt something she had not felt in a long time. Possibility. Maybe she could belong somewhere. Maybe she could create a bridge of understanding between her people and the humans. Maybe her story was not going to end in fear, and as Rian watched her smile, he realized something too. This unexpected gift was not a burden. She was someone brave, gentle, and full of hidden strength. Someone who might change the future more than anyone expected. Leora had been living in Rian's quarters for a few days now. Slowly, she was learning how to understand the rhythm of human life. At first, every sound had alarmed her: the opening of a door, the hum of machines, even the cheerful voices of passing soldiers. But as time passed, she began to see that not all noise meant danger. Sometimes it meant life, laughter, or routine. Rian continued to treat her with patience, giving her choices instead of orders. Every morning he asked her if she wanted to rest, explore a part of the base with him, or simply sit by the window and watch the sky. She liked the window. The human sky was wider and brighter than the one back home. Her home's atmosphere had always been dim, as if clouds tried to hide the sun. But here, colors danced in the sky every morning. On this particular day, she sat by the window while Rian polished his equipment. He watched her quietly for a moment before speaking. "You look calmer today," he said gently. She nodded. "I am trying to learn. Every day I understand something new about humans." Rian chuckled softly. "And what did you understand today?" "That humans drink a lot of warm things," she answered with a small smile. Rian laughed. "That's true. It helps us relax." "I think it helps me relax too," she said thoughtfully. He placed his equipment on the table and turned toward her. "There's something I want to show you today," he said. "Only if you're ready." She looked up curiously. "Show me what?" "Something about yourself," he replied gently. "About what you can do." "Your abilities." Her eyes widened slightly with worry. "You want to see my powers?" "Only if you want to," Rian said quickly. "I'm not forcing anything. But I want to understand you better. And I want you to understand yourself better too." Leora looked down at her hands. "My abilities are not dangerous," she said softly. "But many people fear them because they do not understand." Rian nodded. "I want to understand, and I want you to feel safe showing me." She took a deep breath and nodded carefully. "Very well. I will try." Rian guided her to a quiet room near the training hall. It was smaller and had soft mats on the floor. There were no weapons, no sharp objects, nothing that could frighten her. "This room is for meditation and calming exercises," he explained. "No one will interrupt us." Leora stepped inside slowly. The room felt peaceful, almost like the quiet chamber she had visited in her own home world. She relaxed a little. Rian sat on one of the cushions and gestured for her to sit across from him. "You can start whenever you're comfortable." She closed her eyes gently. "My abilities work with emotions," she said. "I can sense when someone is stressed or tired. I do not take anything from them. I only help balance the energy." Rian listened carefully. "Can you sense how I feel now?" She nodded with her eyes still closed. "You feel curious, focused, and calm. You are also a little worried about me." He blinked softly. "Worried?" "Yes," she whispered. "Because you care if I feel safe." Rian didn't deny it. "That's true." She opened her eyes slowly. "I will show you what I can do, but please tell me if you feel uncomfortable." I will, he promised. She lifted her hands slightly, palms facing upward. A soft glow formed around her fingers, very faint, like a gentle pale light. The air around her shifted slightly. It didn't feel cold or warm, but peaceful. Rian felt the change immediately. A wave of calm washed through him, not in a controlling way, but in a comforting way, like breathing fresh air after being tired for too long. He inhaled slowly, surprised by the softness of the sensation. "This is incredible," he whispered. Leora's voice was soft. "This is what my people are known for. We help others feel peace when they are troubled. That is why the elders thought sending me would create harmony. But they did not understand your customs." The glow faded gently as she lowered her hands. She looked tired afterward, but not drained. "Are you okay?" Rian asked quickly. "Yes," she said with a small smile. "Using my energy is natural. But I am still recovering from my travel."
Ow.
Rian leaned forward slightly. "Thank you for trusting me with that." She looked at him with calm eyes. "Thank you for not being afraid." For a moment, neither spoke. The quiet room felt warm with understanding. As they walked back to his quarters, Leora held on to the memory of the room's peace. For the first time since being sent away from her home, she felt like she could breathe freely. Later that afternoon, Rian had to attend a meeting with his base commander. Leora waited anxiously, sitting quietly by the window again. She feared the commander might order her to be returned immediately, or move her to another location. When Rian returned, he looked thoughtful, but not upset. She stood up quickly. "What happened?" "The commander asked many questions," Rian said calmly. "He wanted to know why you're still here." "Now, what did you tell him?" She asked nervously. "The truth," Rian said firmly. "That you were sent here by mistake. That you're a guest. And that returning you too quickly might cause problems between your people and ours." Her heart fluttered with fear. Did he agree? Rian smiled a little. He did more than agree. He said, "You can stay under my care as long as needed, as long as we keep everything peaceful and respectful." Leora exhaled in relief. "Thank you, Rian." He shook his head gently. "You don't need to thank me for protecting your dignity." That evening, Rian cooked something simple for them. Leora watched him work, surprised at how easily he moved in the small kitchen. "You cook?" she asked. "When I have time," he replied. "It helps me think." She smiled softly. "You do many things to help yourself think," Rian laughed lightly. "Humans can be complicated." "I think you are." "Gentle," she said before she could stop herself. He paused, meeting her eyes with warmth. "I try to be." They ate together quietly. Leora tried the food hesitantly, but soon realized it was comforting and mild. The warm taste helped her feel grounded. After dinner, she sat near the window again. Rian stood beside her, looking out at the stars. "My world is somewhere out there," she whispered. "And you're not alone here," Rian said softly. Leora looked up at him, her silver eyes filled with something new trust. "I know." As the night deepened, a sense of peace settled between them. Leora had begun to understand humans not as frightening or unpredictable, but as beings capable of kindness and understanding. And Rian had begun to understand that Leora was not a gift, but a person with depth, history, and strength he had never expected. Their bond was no longer formed out of fear or duty. It was built on shared efforts to understand each other, and neither of them realized that this quiet connection, a small act of trust in a room filled with gentle light, would soon influence both their worlds in ways neither could imagine. The news about Rian and Leora spread much faster than anyone expected. It started with a small rumor inside the base. Soldiers talked about how the brave human warrior refused to treat an alien woman as a pet. Then the story reached the nearby towns. People repeated it in their own words, adding their own emotions to it. Soon, travelers carried the story to other planets. Before long, even Leora's distant homeworld heard about the strange human who protected a frightened alien girl, instead of accepting her as a gift. At first, Leora did not understand why so many messages were being sent to Rian's base. She noticed communication screens blinking more often, and officers speaking in serious, hushed voices. But Rian did not mention anything to her. He didn't want her to worry. She had already lived through enough fear, so he tried to keep her days calm and normal, helping her build confidence one step at a time. Leora, meanwhile, was slowly finding her place in the human environment. She no longer hid behind objects when she heard loud footsteps. She no longer trembled when someone looked directly at her. She still felt shy, but she had stopped expecting harm around every corner. Rian's patience had changed the way she saw the world. For the first time in her life, she could sit quietly and simply enjoy the feeling of safety. One morning, Rian entered the room where she usually sat reading or observing human objects. He looked slightly worried, but also thoughtful, as if he had made a difficult decision. "Leora," he said gently, "there's something you should know." She placed the small learning tablet on her lap and looked up at him with bright, curious eyes. "Did something happen?" Rian sat down across from her. "Your people want to talk. They heard about everything. They want to send a delegation." Her body stiffened. The memory of being forced into a crate, handed away like a package, still lived deep inside her. Even if she trusted Rian, she didn't know if she could trust her own people again. Rian saw her fear immediately. "They're not coming to take you," he said quickly. "They said they are coming too." "Understand," Leora lowered her gaze. "They never tried to understand before." "I know," he replied softly. "But maybe things can change." She didn't answer. But she listened closely as Rian explained that other species across the region were discussing the situation. The old tradition of giving sentient beings as gifts was being questioned. People wanted clearer rules. They wanted better communication between cultures. And Leora had unknowingly become the center of all of it. The delegation arrived 3 days later. Rian made sure Leora had the choice to join the meeting or stay away. She surprised him by saying she wanted to go. She said she didn't want to hide anymore. And she didn't want others deciding her life without her voice being heard. When Leora entered the meeting hall, everyone went silent. Her delicate steps echoed against the metal floor. Her pale skin shimmered under the overhead lights, and her bright eyes scanned the room carefully. She looked small compared to the tall officials, but she carried a quiet strength that had grown over the weeks with Rian. The elders from her planet stood together. They bowed deeply the moment they saw her. Their movements were slow and respectful, not commanding like before. One of them spoke first. "Leora, we did not know how humans lived. We misunderstood their ways. We thought we were honoring a tradition. We did not know how much fear it caused you." She listened without speaking at first. Her hands trembled slightly, but she did not look away. When she finally answered, her voice was calm yet honest. "I was frightened because I thought humans were dangerous," she said. "But they were not. It was my own people who placed me in danger because they didn't ask what I wanted." The room went quiet again. Rian remained at her side, not speaking for her, not stepping forward, just standing as support. He wanted her to own her voice. The elder nodded slowly. "We understand now. This tradition must change. No one should be given away, even for peace." Another elder added, "Your experience has opened our eyes. Many worlds are watching. They are ready to sign new agreements that protect freedom and prevent misunderstandings like this." Leora took a deep breath. She felt the weight of many eyes, many expectations. She never thought she would influence anything beyond her own small life. But now, she stood at the center of a movement she never asked for. It felt overwhelming, yet also empowering. After the meeting, Rian walked her back to his quarters. She looked thoughtful, almost lost in her own mind. He waited for her to speak first. "Rian," she said quietly. "What? What happens now?" "That's your choice," he answered. "You can go back with him if you want. They promised you would have full freedom there, or you can stay here. You can even travel if you want. You're not trapped anymore." She stopped walking and looked up at him with steady eyes. "Where would you want me to be?" He hesitated, but only for a moment. "Wherever you feel safe and happy." She smiled softly at his honest answer. "I feel safe here." The days that followed were full of discussions, planning, and new ideas. Because Leora chose to stay, the human base began building a small cultural center. It was a place where different species could learn about each other and avoid repeating old mistakes. Leora became an important part of it. She wasn't forced to be a leader. Instead, she gently guided conversations by sharing her experiences. People admired her not because she was unusual, but because she was brave enough to speak about fear and hope. Over time, she and Rian built a life that felt steady and peaceful. They shared meals, learned about different worlds, and helped others understand that kindness can overcome fear when two sides truly try. She no longer thought of herself as a gift or a token. She was simply Leora Free, respected and growing stronger each day. One evening, as they walked outside the base, the sky above them shimmered with stars. Leora looked up and felt the vastness of the universe. She remembered how limited her world had felt before. Locked traditions, old fears, forced expectations, those had once shaped her entire life. But now, the stars looked different. They seemed open, full of paths she could choose for herself. Rian noticed her thoughtful expression. "What are you thinking about?" She smiled. "I'm thinking about how strange life is. I was once placed in a crate, believing the world was full of danger. But because of that terrible moment, I met someone who showed me kindness. And now the world feels much bigger and much brighter," and nodded. "Sometimes the wrong path leads us to the right people." They continued walking slowly. No rush, no fear. Just two individuals who had learned to trust each other through patience and silent understanding. More messages arrived from planets far away, requests for guidance. Invitations to cultural meetings and thank you notes from people Leora had never met. She responded to some of them, always in her gentle style. People admired her for her honesty and calm strength. As the months passed, she became a symbol of peaceful connection between different species. Not because she wanted fame, because her story carried a powerful message. Misunderstandings can be healed with empathy. Fear can be replaced with trust. Most importantly, she was no longer alone. She had a home, a voice, and a future she could shape with her own choices. And that quiet, meaningful freedom was worth more than any gift or tradition the human warrior who was promised a pet had. Instead received someone far more important, a friend, a partner in peace, and a living reminder that kindness can change the course of entire worlds. Their story became a beacon of hope. Not because of battles or conflict, but because of understanding, honesty, and the courage to protect what is right. And so Leora and Rian continued forward, step by step, toward a future filled with possibilities, guided only by trust, respect, and the bright light of a new beginning.